Well, good evening, my good people, and welcome to Great O'Clock. It is that time again here on Monday, and as we do every Monday, we're going to sit here and we're going to talk a bit about how to improve your business, improve your life, and how to make a little bit more revenue for yourself while creating the greatest life that you would like to live. I am your host, Gerald DeBose, and tonight's topic is making money out of air. And no, I have not lost my mind. No, I'm not crazy, and I'm not talking about grass either. I'm talking about how you make money with pre-launches for your business or beta testing, as they like to say, for your business. So, Gerald Dubose, the host with the most. I thank you so much, Jackie. So, what I'm talking about is how you are able to create a revenue stream for your business or for your product or service before you ever even have the product or service, which is why I'm saying you're making money out of air because you don't actually have the product ready. You haven't actually formulated that service. But the way I test market, or I tell my clients to test market, is to test market and make money. See if there's a demand for the product. And what's the best way to see if there's a demand for the product other than to put a pre-launch or beta test together for the product and or service? And then you know if there's really a demand for that product before you ever even have to make it. Give an example. So if you're writing a book, you write a few pages of the book and you then create a pre-launch for the book. And when you do that pre-launch for the book, you advertise it, you create your flyers, do maybe a little mock cover, and you take it to people. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yes, it's a lot of success with it, and it's a way to stop you from having a huge amount of something that really isn't going to sell for you. It's a phenomenal strategy to utilize. So, what we're going to talk about is how do you do that? How do you take that product and or service and put it in beta or put it in a pre-launch format and then put it out to the public, make that money, and then in turn allow the demand to pay for your product or service. It's like it's the greatest concept, one of the greatest concepts ever utilized in marketing and sales. She's Barb says she's been operating in beta for 40 years. Okay, so the first step in doing something like this is obviously one, think of something you love or something that you would like to test. Obviously, you should be very passionate about what it is you're going to launch so that way when you do present it to the public or your friends, family, co-workers, people that you've known or put it out on the internet, it's something that you can put your heart into and put your heart behind so that it begins to create the buzz that you would like. Because if you don't like what you're going to talk about, if you don't appreciate what you're trying to sell to someone, they're not going to appreciate it either. So I think it's very important that we talk about doing something or thinking of something you love. So I think that is the first step in creating, as we say, money out of air, which is really not money out of air. It's just you're utilizing a product that is not created already to make money. So Barb, what is the product you've been in beta with for 40 years? That's interesting. That's a pretty interesting concept there. Um, okay, while Barb is typing, uh, oh, you've been a beta tester. Wow. Okay. All right. Now it makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So it's important to put things into beta word 1.0. Wow. Wow. DOS. Yeah. So yeah, you've done some beta testing. So what a lot of companies do is do that. They think of a concept or idea, introduce it to the public, see if it will gain traction, and then take it back, revamp it, and put it out again as a test product or service. And then once it gains enough traction, that's when they actually go to market with the product. And I suggest small business owners do this because we, as small business owners, you have even less money to be able to fund a project that may not be successful for you. So why not do what the big guys do? Put it in beta, put it into a test market. If you're writing a book, like I said, write a few pages. If you're thinking of doing a CD, do one track, make a cover. All right, I'm going to walk through all the steps. Let me not get ahead. The second thing you want to do after you think of something you love, you want to create a compelling headline. Obviously, that's an important part of marketing. That's what's going to draw people. Anybody that's listening to this or watching this kind of, like making money out of air. That's interesting. That's different. So people are going to want to at least see what that is about. And you have to explain your product and or service within that headline, though. Or you should have a subtitle, as they like to say, a subtext of the headline that explains exactly what you're talking about. So the third thing I think we would do, and then I want to start opening the seats up. I wish Jackie could jump in because it would be great to be able to talk to her. But hi, Siffy. Hey, Alex, my man, Alex Daily TV in the house. So the second thing you want to do after one, think of something you love. Two, you want to create a compelling headline. Now, three, you came for the poetry. It's no poetry tonight. Three, you want to make evites and flyers for your launch. Obviously, you need to be able to invite people so that people can come and enjoy or offer them come to an event or come to a sales page so that they can find the product and or service to be able to test the product. A lot of people don't take the flyers seriously enough nowadays because a lot of people are going strictly to online marketing. But if your offline marketing doesn't match your online marketing, you will be challenged in growing your business. So making flyers doesn't cost much. A lot of us everybody has Word or some type of program on their computer where they can create a basic flyer with some basic graphics talking about whatever it is you're launching or putting in beta. So that is the third step. So after you make the flyers and evites, of course, now you have to schedule the event or your pre-launch. So now you have to give it a date so people know when to find it, where they're going to be able to find it. Where are we going? What are we doing? Those are two questions I always ask people: where are we going? What are we doing? So very, 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 very important there. After you do the scheduling, you have to create a digital cover, obviously, in order to have a storyboard at your event, or just to be able to have online so that when people are looking for it, it looks like your cover is prepared and it's ready to rock and roll. They don't have all they know is that it's pre-launch and they're going to pay for you to do your book. Isn't that awesome? That is an awesome concept. After you do your book cover, the next thing would be obviously you have to have the sales page. But before the sales page, everybody, I hope, has some kind of merchant account now. PayPal is a merchant account that you can get for free. There are other ones. There are Swipe. There is software that you can use that will set up the pages, that will set up your sales pages and things for you. Different services that do the landing pages that incorporate right into the landing page the payment method. So if you have Swipe, if you have the landing page sites, Infusionsoft software does it. There's landing pages. There is several landing page sites, and it doesn't take much to actually create a landing page. If you have a basic knowledge of WordPress, hey, Miss Lori Mowers in the house. If you have a basic knowledge of WordPress, you can create a landing page in moments. So that is the next step. And the last thing I would say, if you want to really drive traffic and you really want to make it special, you need to make some type of giveaway or a contest out of it. People love to win stuff. People want to feel like they're getting something. like they're getting something extra above and beyond what they normally would if they just purchased a book, or they just purchased a CD, or they just purchased a service from you. So create some type of contest. Yes, everybody loves winning stuff. So you should create some type of contest so that people are intrigued to be part of the event and or service or beta launch. So that is what really will drive people to that type of event and or product. Hey, Walter in the house, my man Walter, great to see you. I see Miss Blair Glazer in the house also. Awesome. So what we're talking about tonight, Blair and Lori, just to let you all catch up, is we're talking about, the title is weird, I know, how to make money out of air. But what we're talking about, oh, it's okay, don't worry, there will be more open mics, Blair, and I'm sure you will be there, and we will get to hear some lovely words that you have put together. Blair is a phenomenal woman, great woman on leadership too. What we're talking about is creating the money out of air. Yes, there it is. Thank you, Jackie. Man, I wish I missed TJB. Yes. So that's a recap. What I'm basically talking about is putting things in beta or pre-launch. That's what we're talking about when we're saying making money out of air. You know, you don't really have a product or service that's finished. Why pay for it all yourself if you can get someone else that likes your product and or service to pay you for that before the product or service is created? And this is what a lot of large companies do. Barb is in here, and Barb says Barb does beta testing. And that's what large companies do. They don't want to pay for that launch themselves. They let the public pay for it if they can. So as small business owners, it's a great idea to try to use pre-launches, beta testing in order to launch a product that may cost you a little money that you do not have. So step one, as Jackie said, you know, find something that you love and are passionate about. 2, write a compelling title or a headline. 3, create evites and flyers for the event or launch or whichever one you're doing. 4, make a date. Create a date. You have to have a date that people can know when it's happening and what's going on, where we're going, what we're doing. Create some cover art for your product and or service, whichever one you're doing. You have to get a merchant account, obviously. Then you create a sales page, and then you do a giveaway or contest to help drive traffic and keep the interest going in exactly what it is you're doing. So Yusuf, welcome Yusuf. So that's what we're talking about, and I would love to see, does anybody have any questions and or comments or a product? PayPal. Alex has a PayPal. See, Alex, my man, he has it right. So that is how you set up a PayPal right there. Perfect example. Thank you, Alex. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns so far? And I have an open seat. I would love to hear somebody that has an idea that they haven't put out there. And let's talk about how we can maybe help you make some money in the next 30 to 60 days. Let's see how we can structure this thing. Let's see how we take it from concept to connection. Sounds like Jeff Walker's marketing funnel program to me. I've done test marketing for clients for over 30 years. Would you like some help? Sure. You can jump in. I see my main man, Mr. Fred Oban, just came in the building. So if anybody would like to join, they have a question, comment. We have 2 call-ins now, and I have Miss Gail. Come on in here, sunshine. And of course, Mr. Fred Oban, and I have Miss Barb Tomlin. Everybody's joining at the same time. Welcome, my good people.
Reverend.
Oh, howdy.
Awesome. So, Barb, you were saying that sounds like Jeff Walker's marketing funnel a little bit.
Right. You know, I can't hear you very well. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay, let me see if I can turn you up on my end.
Okay.
Okay, like my day is
There's a
officially
double
over now.
entendre there if I've ever heard one, but okay.
Oh, man.
My day is officially over right now, and I have poured myself a margarita. So you can't hold me responsible for a whole lot of what I'm going to tell you. That's my disclaimer.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I have billed myself as an integrated marketing specialist probably since the early 80s. My corporation says just-in-time business and product development solutions, but I was online marketing. I've been online marketing since 1990. And talk about making money out of thin air. I've done that really well, just totally on bullshit. I know how to make six figures on bullshit. So.
Hey, that's what it's about.
Not something I'm going to go out there and market, but it works for me.
Awesome. Man. She said that's the margarita.
In the beginning, back in the 80s and early 90s, I worked with a lot of folks that were starting out with nothing. They had jobs all their lives, and they had lost. It was called the Pinky and Blue Boys Project. The IBMers, they were forcing them into retirement back then. And so they wanted my help sorry, what? Are we frozen again?
No, I'm not frozen.
Jeez, it can't be me.
No, you're not frozen. I see you.
Fine.
Okay, I can see me okay, but now I've got Gerald on audio only and Gail on audio only.
I see everybody.
Okay. Anyway, and starting out without anything, I really, I resonate with the test marketing. I believe in doing that no matter whether you don't have a dime or whether you have a fortune, because there's no sense in wasting it. And when you very first start out, now in today's world, one of the very first things you want to do is after you've identified what it is that you're selling or what it is that you want to make a difference in the world with is figuring out, getting that domain together, because you've got to have a home online. And if you do nothing more than just having a landing page there that has email capture and opt-in, you can build a fortune just with that one page, and then getting on social media and promoting your project from there. So that's the way I see how see that it rolls these days. It's working for me anyway.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about. You have to have some type of online presence nowadays in order to serve, in order to be relevant, I will say, because people, fortunate or unfortunately, go to this thing called Google. People don't even say I'm going to look you up. They say I'm going to Google you. That's the term.
Right.
So they're going to Google, they're going to Facebook, and if they can't find you on those two places, and wait, now LinkedIn has really a lot of prowess. If you don't have a LinkedIn page and you're a business owner, you're dead to them. So those three places you at least have to be. And like you said, if you put just a basic landing page up of some kind, people will find you. And then, of course, closely followed behind is Twitter. If you aren't tweeting about something, people are not going to take you seriously. So
I would partly agree with that, but there's one thing that I don't with this. Some people go with this basic landing page, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, to me, when I am looking, when people always want to do joint ventures with you or stuff like that, or they want to get on your bandwagon, one of the first things I do is I look at their website, I look at their LinkedIn page, I do a little more esoteric research as well. But if they just have a basic landing page, to me, that just shows a lack of commitment and imagination.
That's true. That's
You
true.
got to have some content. You got to
It
feed.
depends on what their mission is. I
Well,
mean, I've had.
If their mission is
sorry.
trying to be consistent with mine, they better have something in there which tells me that their mission is consistent with mine, Barb, or they're a non-starter.
Exactly. It's
That's true. I would say that as well. You know,
I just want to go on record, since you are recording here, that I'm very angry today.
Okay.
Aw.
Why are
I'm
you
very angry with the United Nations.
Oh, okay.
I have worked with the United Nations for about 4.5 years. Probably one of the most ineffectual organizations I've ever worked with. So much so that after my first mission in Africa, I told my kids to stop collecting money for UNICEF at Halloween. Today, apparently, the World Health Organization has said that bacon is bad for you.
They did.
And that it is as carcinogenic
right.
as
They
asbestos, smoking cigarettes, eating raw neutronium, whatever. It's just, you know what? I'm now officially pissed for an organization who everyone spends hundreds of millions of dollars on to promote peace and democracy, one of the 2 of the 3 core values they're supposed to. They've decided to attack my bacon, and I'm now officially pissed.
Do not take the bacon. No taking the bacon, Fred. Don't take Fred's bacon. Look, United Nations, we're going to do a write-in, okay? They can't take your bacon. They cannot say it is as hazardous as asbestos. That's ridiculousness.
In protest, I ordered a extra large meat lovers pizza from Domino's and told them to put on extra Italian sausage, extra pepperoni, extra bacon, and I'm paying for it now. But when you talk about making money out of thin air, I think that term means so many different things to so many different people.
Right.
To me, it means, have you made money out of a new concept?
And
As opposed to many people jumping on there saying, "Oh, I like what this guy's doing. I'm going to go do that too," or "This guy's an expert at XYZ. Oh, I'm an expert at XYZ, or I can make myself one." And that's fine. You get people who do that, but the people who, in my mind, who truly make money out of thin air are the ones who take a new idea, a new concept, and literally build it into an end product. Be it a physical product, be it a conceptual product, be a service, it does not matter. Doing something different, doing something disruptive. In my mind, that's making money out of thin air.
Absolutely. I mean, and you weren't here in the beginning. That's what we were talking about. Basically, when I said that, I was talking about using pre-launches and beta testing for your products or service before the product is finished, because a lot of small business owners have a challenge of capital in the beginning. So if you don't have a lot of capital, then let the market show you that they want what you're trying to sell. Otherwise, don't make it.
Well, here's the other thing too. If you have a hard time getting startup capital or even venture capital, you have to ask yourself some really important questions. Either you're not selling your product properly to venture capitalists, because venture capitalists, those guys are tripping over themselves, over each other, to give you money.
Yeah.
If lack of startup capital is your problem, you're talking to the wrong people or you're sending the wrong message.
That is true. I was going to say now that the challenge is a lot of people just don't know where to start. I'm trying to give them something really basic for some of the people that just don't know where to start or where to go. If they don't know how to get into those circles, that's what these type of situations are for us on Blab, who have the connections, who have the expertise, and say, well, look, this is what you can do. And I'm giving them alternatives.
Absolutely. Here's an alternative for you. I mean, I don't see a lot of venture capitalists hanging out on Blab yet. I think they're going to be there. But one of the things I normally tell my startup pro bono clients is start publishing into professional journals. Mission-specific professional journals that have something to do with your product or service. Because one thing that venture capitalists are very good is at environmental scanning. They are constantly scanning the environment for investment opportunities, new ideas, stuff like that. Don't go to writing in business magazines. Go write in, mission-specific or subject-specific professional journals. Every venture capitalist I've ever worked with has absolutely, huge teams doing nothing but environmental scanning, looking for stuff out there. You just got to be in the right place for you to be found.
Absolutely. See, great. See, this is why Fred Oban is my main man. Fred, great tip.
And look, I'm just happy. I'm just happy I don't have to sing tonight. You screwed me the other night. You know that.
I did trick. I didn't feel like I tricked you. I invited you to an open mic, and Fred shared some poetry, and he dropped it like it was hot. So, Miss Gail Turner Brown, my girl, Miss Sunshine herself. Look at that smile. Don't she look like sunshine? How are you, Miss Gail? You are muted.
Oh dear.
That's all right. Okay. Sorry about that. Well, actually, no, I wasn't, because Michael and I were having a conversation, and y'all need to hear outside conversation. So, hello, Mr. Gerald. How are you, my love? I have missed you. So, I've seen a couple of your blabs come through, and I haven't been able to jump on them. So, that's why I was doing double duty. I was like, okay, I got to be on 2 blabs tonight at one time. It was crazy. It was crazy. But let me ask you a question, because I have a couple of ideas, but I just want to make sure that I'm in the right place. Meaning, the concept that you're using, is it predominantly for those people who are trying to figure out how to create revenue and they haven't quite figured it out yet, or people who are just trying to create more revenue? So in other words, they're not necessarily for the person who has built this huge, ginormous, multi-million company where they need venture capital and all of that, but for the person who's relatively new or kind of new in trying to come up with a concept, one idea of how can they generate money out of thin air. So I just want to make sure I'm in the right place first.
Well,
anything.
I was going to say, actually, it's for some of both of those people, because a lot of large companies do put products in beta first.
That's true.
You know, right. they put the product in beta so that the company can, so that the public will say, we love this or we hate this. And then they take it back, they revamp it, then send it back to beta. And then they say, okay, it works a little better. Now they take it back, and then they work it finally. And then when they get a better feedback, then they put it out to market.
Okay.
Because they created a demand. And
that's true.
And I'm just using this for a small business owner, especially small business owners. Mm-hmm. Like we were just talking about, a lot of them have the challenge of capital. They don't have the working capital to necessarily run and order the 10,000 books or the 10,000 CDs of this program that they're getting ready to launch and put it out there and lose. Right. So versus doing that, I'm suggesting they do a pre-launch, do a test market, do a beta, where the public will dictate to them, and they can make the money to finish the product sometimes. Right, exactly. Okay, right. Exactly. So totally agree with you. One of the ways that because it's just interesting, but you know, we are always in alignment, because I did a blab similar to this last week. Oh, really? So yeah, and the thing is though, we forgot to record until like the last minute, so I lost it all. But another way, or in addition to the things that you named, and you are so right, where companies will do a pre-launch, is even utilizing platforms such as this. So coming up with an idea or connecting, this is one of my kind of like my favorite ways. Connecting with people who are experts in their field, okay? Having a conversation or interviewing them, let's say on a platform such as this. You record it. You get people to ask questions. So now you can get an idea of, do they like the content and what kind of questions are coming up? Then once that's done, you literally can take these recordings, you can have them transcribed, you can have them downloaded in audio format, and now they can become your audio products that you can use those other methods that you talked about in terms of how to then get that out into the marketplace. And then, as you said, as you're reading down some of the comments that the people are making, as well as some of the questions they have, you can also then use that content to tweak that product that you're talking about,
And now you have an audio product, you have PDF, you have a book. It can be transcribed and you put it into a book form. It can be created into a workbook. But all of that from interviewing or having experts here, and that's created out of thin air. And it doesn't have to be a brand new concept, because information is major. And even though we're getting it from everywhere, everybody's got a new spin on it, or just a new perspective on something. And so, and there's always new markets of that will resonate with various people. And so, so that's another way of creating it, as you said, out of thin air, because, and as you said, you have more or less pre-launched it because you're just getting the information, you can have it transcribed, and you now have a product. You got content that you can put out in the marketplace.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Before you ask for money, or before you even start looking for money, mature your concept, as Gerald says. Do some beta releases, but put time into product so that you're giving people something. Whether it's a video like this, whether it's a whole bunch of PDFs. By the way, people don't seem to like grabbing paper anymore. But
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I don't like paper.
Here's my link. Send me stuff. Especially at trade shows and stuff like that.
Right.
Make an investment in product, and then, to use a term, and I only say it because it's the business I'm in, war game it.
Yes.
War game it. Actually put the release of your product to a critical test prior to execution.
There you
And
go.
then red team it. In other words, put it under extreme competitive stress.
Okay, you're gonna say, can you speak in like regular people words?
That is
'Cause
regular people speak.
No,
Regular-
I'm sorry. I never heard of no war
No,
game.
it's
Thank
not.
you. It's not. Okay, I don't know about the war
Business
game.
Not.
Business wargaming is actually something that's about 80
Well,
years old. But what you're doing is you're saying, listen, when I'm going to take my plan, and prior to executing it, I'm going to have some people play the bad guys, play my business environment, play competitors, and actually start trying to make the plan fail. It's something you do to put things under extreme competitive stress. Newsrooms do this on a regular basis. CNN does this. Anything that's going to be involved in a new multi-billion-dollar project or product launch, do these kind of things. They do business wargaming, or they do red teaming, depending on which side of the ocean you're on. Is the term that is used. This is especially important before people start talking about money, especially when they're talking about getting venture capital. I think everyone agree when people come up with a new product, they usually either undervalue it or overvalue it. So one of the things that you would do as part of the war game is go through some different price costing and see where it would sit in the marketplace. This is also something you do. I mean, Tweeting Goddess, I'm sorry, I don't know her first name. Samantha was talking about, finance is tough. Actually, finance is easy to get. People are throwing money at you in this marketplace all the time. The mistake that people make is taking money at the wrong time. Because as soon as you take money, you now give up controls.
Right.
You are now working on somebody else's schedule.
Right.
And also, people who give you money have certain expectations, and if you're not, and they may be a little more risk adverse than you are. So test your plan before you put it out there. Test your products. I've seen so many. When you talk about the videos, when you talk about the some of the stuff, the really great stuff that Gail was talking about, actually beat it up. Do a beta test, if you will. Give it to an audience. Saying, what do you think? Get yourself a professional proofreader. Right. You're your own worst proofreader, by the way. I'm certainly my own worst proofreader. So it's those kind of little tips that I think are very, very important. And someone mentioned Dragon's Den. Dragon's Den is like Shark Tank.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the British and Canadian equivalents of Shark Tank. Most of them still have Kevin O'Leary on it, though. And that's a really good example. How many times have you seen people go to Shark Tank and are just not ready for some of the adult questions that are being asked?
Yeah, see, that's what I was going to say. The problem, the challenge that a lot of these companies have run into, and that's kind of what we are all talking about here, is that companies, one, usually just have a concept when they start talking about they want money. And investors don't want concept. They want proof of concept.
Right.
And if you don't have proof of concept, then you have to have a plan, a really, really great strategic plan.
Right.
And that's what you're talking about, Fred, with the wargaming and all that stuff. Okay, you may not have that product yet. You may not have that service yet. What's your cash flow statement looking like? What's your income? How's the money going to flow in? How do I get my money back? What's the value on the product that you're talking about doing? Have you tested this product? And most people just are not prepared for that. So,
and the biggest failure question is, what are you going to do when your product takes off?
Right.
A lot of people do contingency planning based on difficulties they may have with project launch, but very few people have contingency plans about my product's going to take off.
Right.
How are you planning for growth? How are you planning for accelerated success? People have mentioned crowdfunding. I have limited experience with crowdfunding. Generally, it's been good experience so far.
I was going to say, I have some experience with that. Actually, we do crowdfunding for some people. Barb has been raising her finger, and I do not want Barb to be left out. She's been really nice. So please, Barb.
Well, now we're talking crowdfunding and show me the money. So first off, back in the 80s and 90s, I was in venture capital funding. Do you remember A. David Silver by chance? Fred?
Yes.
Because David was a friend of mine. Yeah. So, and Richard Morgan from Macromedia.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on that. So yeah, I was back there. I used to write checks for $250,000 at a time when I was back in the old days. But here's the thing. With the introduction of crowdfunding, a whole new world opened up for the entrepreneur and for the visionaries, people just having that idea. Now, you can take this blab environment, and this is a think tank. This is where you can be stimulated to come up with that creative idea that you could put into a crowdfunding project.
Right.
Last year, you can check my Kickstarter account. I worked on 35 successful projects, but two of them I'm really proud of. One of them was the Coolest Cooler project with Ryan Grepper, and the other was with Kenny Loggins, who most of us baby boomers know who Kenny is. And that was music. And now Kenny, in his project, what was so fascinating is you look on Twitter, and he's got just a huge following. And you would think if everybody just contributed $1 to his crowd fund, he would be more than funded. We only raised a little over 100,000 on his. And Ryan's, on the other hand, was one of the largest in millions of dollars that we're talking about. But again, when you talked about test marketing, Ryan's is a great example of that and how the Coolest Cooler came out. And Ryan had a concept of what it would look like at the beginning of the crowdfunding project. And everybody bought into that concept and said, okay, well, you're communicating with us. You're building our loyalty to you because you're giving us feedback. You're saying, what do we want in the product? Just like Blab, the Blab Bevo people are saying, what do you want in Blab? And so that seems to be, it seems to be working at this point in time in life. But crowdfunding, in my opinion, that's just, Kickstarter is just reward-based crowdfunding. And it's pretty much, the biggest out there at this point. I'm into this year into equity crowdfunding and working on that because I want to do some destination properties. But I think that's an excellent way. Crowdfunding is an excellent way to do your test marketing, because if you can't build enough of a following to help fund your crowdfunding project, you're probably not going to get to market.
Absolutely, that's always the kicker.
And I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Barb. Please finish.
Well, another thing I learned in working with all of these folks, it was a fascinating year. I'm actually writing a book on the adventure, but in working with these folks is that many of them didn't have a business plan, weren't aware of what a business plan even was. And they did. They were so excited about their idea that they said, well, I'll just put out a crowdfunding campaign, and I've heard about Kickstarter, so I'll go there and do it. And then it was like, oh my God, there are people interested in what I'm doing. And so I've got to treat this like a business. So you have to have a marketing program. It becomes much more sophisticated than you can imagine. And you end up spending like 9 months on your project when you've only got a window of 3 months in crowdfunding. Mm-hmm. And like Ryan, he just started delivering. He's based in Portland, Oregon, and he's an inventor. And he's going to actually be, when you talk about repurposing content and so forth, he's taking that experience and he's actually developed a training program for inventors on how to bring their inventions to market. And he's teaching those courses online already, but he's coming out in a much bigger way. And one of the other investments that I was into last year, the Pebble watch.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that? I mean, they've come on 3 different, I believe, crowdfunding campaigns so far. So it definitely works.
Yeah, crowdfunding is, they have, you do have Kickstarter, which is like the big one that everybody really utilizes the most. You have Indiegogo. You have
those are that's reward based.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. You even have there's a new one that's called
you've got GoFundMe, but I think
you got GoFundMe.
Right.
You have KivaZip.
KivaZip. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. Right. So you have all of those that are other ways that people can get money for their business.
Right. But now I have a question. Does it also though depends on what your project is? So in other words, right. Okay.
Absolutely.
So and that helps determine which platform you use, because
or even if you want to do crowdfunding.
Right.
Okay.
I mean,
that's the kicker. I have a very quick example for you. One of the startups that I engaged with 3 years ago had just got into the crowdfunding thing when it was starting. And this was a young lady who was a neurologist who said, listen, ADD is one of the most, attention deficit disorder is one of the most misdiagnosed things out there. Right. In fact, most reading problems are diagnosed as attention deficit disorder. And next thing you know, people are shoving Ritalin into their kids. She says, in fact, most of it has to do with how the eyes see things. So she sort of came up with various prescription glasses for kids. And you put them on, and all of a sudden the kid does not have dyslexia. All of a sudden the kid is paying attention in class and stuff like that. And it wasn't the prescription of the glasses, it was the color tinting on the glasses and special programs for color tinting on screens and stuff. It's how the brain was processing stuff. So she went to a crowdfunding thing, and she was showing like 100% success in all her trial groups and stuff like that, and got some tacit interest and stuff like that. And she went to the Ontario College of Optometrists, and she went to the Ontario College of Surgeons. And she said, I just can't get any startup capital here, and la la la. I said, because you're targeting the wrong people.
Right.
The first thing here is, who is going to make the most money from your product? And she said, well, I don't know. I said, let me tell you who's going to make the most money. HMOs are going to make the most amount of money. You can talk to the Ontario College of Surgeons until you're blue in the face. You can be on, a crowd funding thing till you're blue in the face, but until you get someone who can actually pony up some real money and pay for your product. And HMOs would much rather pay $150 for your specialized glasses for kids, as opposed to thousands and thousands of thousands of pharmacare bills through an HMO. Within 3 months, she went and saw 3 HMOs in the States. And I said, don't even look at the Canadian market. This is a waste of your time. Go down to the American market, talk to some of the larger HMOs. Within 3 months, she had all the money she needed, all the startup capital, all the marketing she needed. Bam, it was done. Okay. So if your product will save somebody else money or make somebody else money, that's who you target.
Right. And that is part of the issue that these small business owners have. A lot of small business owners don't understand what problem they're solving. See, like as a business coach, when people, I'm a business coach. Okay. So what are you helping with? You know, people pay you if you can save them time. People pay you if you will make them money. People pay you if you give them better health. People pay you for certain symptoms that you're able to solve for them. And if you can't explain that, it doesn't really matter, because then you're going to go not only after the wrong clients, but the wrong investors. So you're not going to get the money that you're looking for either. So, because your investor wants to know who your client is too. Because if you're not reaching them, the investor isn't going to give you the money. So it's a big challenge there.
Well, I went with her for one of her presentations, and I said, your first part of your presentation will be a question to the board. And the question is, how much do you guys pay in HMO fees for attention deficit disorder drugs? And I'll bet you the CFO can tell you right then and there, and he did. And he said, well, yeah, we pay something in the area of $600-700 million a year for ADD type drugs from coast to coast in America. Bam, she had them.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I want to welcome Sam, the tweeting goddess.
Hi.
Sam?
Always awesome to have Sam here. So Sam, you said you went on Dragon's Den. Tell us a bit about that experience.
Yeah, as Fred said, it's like the equivalent of Shark Tank, but we have an Irish version as well as a British version. So it was the Irish version, and I had come up with this idea for a first period gift box for girls that lone fathers and mothers could give their daughter when they came to that awkward milestone. Because I was like, it happened. My own daughter came to that awkward stage, 11 years of age, and I was like, oh, I felt so sorry for her. So I went, okay, I'll go and I'll get her something nice. I'll get her a beginner set. And there was nothing in the shops, no beginner set. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, this is not right. And I hadn't got a penny. Like, I was a lone parent. I had no money. But I just said, you know what? I'll do it. So I had no money at all to start. I did borrow, I think, $2,000 from my mom to get stock, but they were like, because it was such a controversial topic, I was really lucky. Like I had no marketing budget either. So what I did was, when I was ready to launch, I was listening to the radio and the national radio station, and I heard the guy saying on the radio, oh, I'm so sick of the recession. Has anybody got a good news story? And so I was like, okay. So I rang up and I said, I have a good news story. I'm just starting my business. And I got on the air for like 20, 25 minutes on national radio. And next thing, bing, 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 all the orders started coming in. Like, it was crazy. But that was a bit of luck, I suppose. But then I went on Dragon's Den because I needed to buy this in bulk, because there's no way I could keep, making the box with, buying at the price I was buying it at. So I needed 30,000. Went on the Dragon's Den, and it was a little bit scary, but I did practice. But you know what I'm really bad at? Numbers. And so, of course, when it came to my turn, I stuttered and I stumbled at the numbers. And then one of the dragons said, oh, you've had a tough year, haven't you? Because my dad had just died, and I'd been thinking of him going up as well, because we used to watch together all the time. My dad would always say, oh, that's a great idea. That's a brilliant idea, And so I actually started crying. So what happened for me was, it actually helped me because people saw the human side and they identified with losing someone they loved and all that kind of stuff. So what I did was, I kept going, and I did have the business, but I actually sold it in the end. So I sold my first startup, but that was great. And then I started using Twitter to market the business. And that's how I came to be the tweeting goddess, because I got really good on Twitter. But, really, it was such a struggle. Like, I nearly killed myself trying to, I was getting the sales. The sales were coming out of my ears. I couldn't keep up with demand. It's like you said, Fred, I wasn't prepared for when people did want to buy it. Yeah. And then I had to keep, making these boxes and not making any money. And so that's why I had to sell it. But, there was one stage I was sitting by the fire with my two daughters, and we were huddled around the fire, and we had no coal left. And that was the moment when I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this for my family anymore. And that's why, even though I'd been on the Dragon's Den, I'd been on TV, I'd been on BBC Woman's Hour, I was on everywhere. The media went mad for it because of the taboo subject it was, you know, and still is. And but it helped my profile, and people were buying from me as well. It wasn't just the product; they were buying from me, the person. And I think for any startups, like I've come across it so much, and also I did a crowdfunding campaign for my book because I couldn't afford to get the printed copies that I wanted to get, the amount that I had, the minimum amount I had to get. It was €2,000 only, but I got it really easily because I already had a community built around me, and so people already were supporting me. So I was lucky that I had already built up the community, but I've ran 2 campaigns that were successful as well, Barbara. But I have to say it was tough because they just assumed they could launch this crowdfunding campaign, and they had like 400 followers on Twitter, you know, and it was such hard work. She got her 10,000 though in the end, but it was really, I had to work hard to get that because.
See, which is why I was talking about even doing a test market for your products and services, you know, and because one, what that will help do, you again, it's always about being able to use things in more than one manner for me.
Yeah.
How are you able to multi-purpose whatever you do? Is very, very important in incrementally growing your business. So if you take, for example, you did a beta. If you had done a beta test on what your product launch was, right? And you had like 50 people that brought into it. Guess what? When you started that crowdfunding campaign and you said, hey, donate $25, I'm getting ready to grow my business. You would have had proof of concept already. They've been introduced to the product. Now those same 50 people become part of your crowdfunding sources.
Amen.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the key things about crowdfunding is you're trying to turn mere disciples into apostles.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, and that's I use the Catholic reference here for you because you know you're Irish.
I haven't been to mass in ages.
Yeah, neither have I. But he's the Reverend. No.
Oh, there we go.
But I mean that's one of the good things when you do what I like to call a closed loop beta test where you control all the internal and external access to the product, and you have a very it's a control group. Like a true control group, and you're not letting it, get out there. But if you get people in your control group, especially if they're investors, to really buy into proof of concept, then not only will they be applauding you and buying your product, they're going to become your greatest apostles, and that's like free marketing. Absolutely.
But one thing that did happen, which was unfortunate, because I do firmly believe that you do have to have money behind you at the start for your marketing, especially in PR. 3 copies came along just after me, 3 different tweaks of what I had done in Ireland came along, and it was like, there was a first period pack, there was this, there was that. And then, it was just like, oh my God, but I felt like it was really unfair because I didn't have the budget behind me to do the marketing and all that, but I still did good, considering. But the crowdfunding for the book, didn't take long at all. It was like, I think it was in 2 weeks. Because I had already built this community around me that believed in me and trusted me, and they knew me, and they were kind of nearly just helping me just because they knew me, that kind of way. So it was really.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because people buy from people in the end, and sometimes we just want to support someone, and but then the rewards, Barbara, you'd know this. The what's the word for the rewards? The perks or whatever it is that you get to get the perks. I think I gave one was a signed copy of my book, and the other one was a free place on my next workshop, and then the other one, if you gave €50, was a free one-to-one consultation with me, and so that and the book. So, but in Ireland, they just didn't understand the concept of crowdfunding. They really, it's only new, It's only new here.
Right. Yeah. Time and place, I'm sure. But one of the most important things is, as we're talking here, that I learned last year, and I was totally surprised about the crowdfunders in general, the creators who didn't take advantage of this. When you have, one of the things I noticed was on Kickstarter, especially, you have all of you have comments from your backers. And by actually engaging with them, like turning someone like you loose on them, Samantha, my God, I mean, they would have to raise a fortune. But they didn't do that much engagement.
Yeah.
And what I found is that after I backed, I was so fascinated by it all. And I went back to my days and working in the VC environment and stuff. And I thought, well, I'm going to check all of these different projects out. And so it was like betting on horses for me. It was like, I bet I can pick the winners. And I did. I had only 2. I didn't have any failures. And 2 of them, I convinced them to withdraw their projects because they didn't have their acts together to do it. Mm-hmm. But I told every one of them, I said, when you guys get on there, you back, even if it's just $2, back other successful projects. Because once you do, you're in that creator's community. And then make comments within that community, and they're going to see you, and they're going to find you on the internet, whether it's Twitter or whatever environment, social environment you're in. And now that we have this tool of Blab, I mean, I think I could take crowdfunding to a whole new level using this tool. Because if you could be sitting here communicating with the creator and saying, just like what you were saying, Gerald, about, you know, you're at concept. Is this product going to work? And Fred, you know, is that in that beta testing mode is if they can have it right here on screen and they're having feedback from people all over the world, not only is it more inspiring for them to create a better product, but they're actually getting that perspective that will help them to have that successful product.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to meet the needs.
Totally agree. But that crowdfunding audience or that old VC audience needs to get on to Blab first.
Yeah.
Blab ain't ready for it yet.
Yeah.
I think it's almost there. But, you know, it's got to expand as a medium a little bit more, I think.
Yeah. I mean, as we were talking about originally, you know, with the pre-launches and the purpose of it, that's what Blab is doing. Mm-hmm. Blab is in beta. Mm-hmm. And they are doing a phenomenal job, actually, with what they're doing. I mean, for them to have just launched in less than 6 months and be one of the 18,000 most visited websites in the world, and they're still in beta,
right?
You're doing something right. So that just goes back to proof of concept. Go ahead, Bob.
The VCs are already here on Blab. I've been with them in Blabs, and I know they're here. And it's not because, think about it, Fred. When the VCs are there, they're swimming like sharks because they want a percentage of the action. That's different from crowdfunding. And they're always looking for opportunity. And they saw it right away. But some of the major hitters are already in here.
What's a VC?
I've seen a venture capitalist.
Oh, VC, venture capital.
Sorry.
So I've seen some hitters in here. Whether they're heavy or not is subjective. I've seen a lot of the tech-based guys, especially some of the Palo Alto VC guys I know. I've seen them in here. Now, whether they came in here because I was here or whatever, because we're friends, like I can have Mark Mansfield on again. He's a good tech VC giant as an example.
I don't think I saw you in the Blabs I was in.
But,
but again,
there's so many of them out here.
People in there, so
right.
Yeah.
But there's a certain audience here. I see a lot of the VC guys who are either virtual platform or tech platform based here. I've seen a number of those. Mm-hmm. Whether they're heavy is subjective or not. Is Blab a great beta test? Absolutely. Absolutely. Will it become a successful business? Remains to be seen, because the history is littered with the dead bodies of social media platforms. But I think this is a good start. Whether they can turn it into a business still remains to be seen. Sorry, go ahead, Barb.
Well, I don't want to be misunderstood here. I'm not saying they were here interested in Blab. They were here looking for the
Well,
entrepreneurial
that's what I
environment.
interpreted. That's what I understood. That's what I
Okay.
understood.
All right.
I mean, I see a few
All
of them. Okay, and some of them I know who've done business with them and stuff like that. Know a lot of them through my dealings with Deloitte, as an example. I see the odd one here, so I got surprised when I see them here on Blab. And yeah, they're doing.
Are you a Deloitte alumni?
I'm a service provider to Deloitte.
I was at H&S back in the 70s. Deloitte Haskins and Sales.
Okay. Well, no, I was invited to be a speaker at Deloitte's 50 Best Managed Companies 3 years ago to talk about business war teaming and red teaming. And so whenever they got a business war teaming, red teaming client, Deloitte brings me in.
All right, great.
Cool.
Sam had a question.
Yeah, I have a question. Guys, Fred and Barbara, can I just ask you, I could do with some of those connections because I have a social media summit coming up in March 2nd in Dublin. So I need to get some sponsors. So if you think of anyone that might be interested that would buy into me, I'd definitely be interested in meeting some of those guys.
Tweet me the particulars, and if I know somebody who that would get the rear hair up, I'll send it to them. I mean, but just
Thank you.
It's got to have some depth to it. I have a business plan and all that, but it's just that there's a web summit here in Dublin. I'm sure you're aware of it. It's on every year, and they decided to move it next year to Lisbon. So I've decided to, the way I wanted to meet all these people, these cool people I've been meeting on Blab and Twitter, and I said, sure, I might as well bring them over here instead of going over there. Let's see. But Melanie in the chat there was asking, what are we discussing? So
yeah, what we were talking about, and that's exactly what I was going to say. We were talking about how to get money for your business. Different ways to be able to launch your products or services at a low cost and be able to fund your dreams. Basically, the original topic was how to make money out of air. If you have a product or service and you don't have a lot of money, how can you get it out to the public without having to break the bank or without having investors, so to say?
One of the things that Sam asked or mentioned earlier was, about the difficulty about getting money. Okay, I'm out to lunch here. Getting money is easy. I think it's the discipline of when to get it is very, very important. And I see a lot of startups that frankly crash and burn on this particular question. Because as soon as you get startup money or as soon as you get an investor, you got a gun to your head, and sometimes you're not ready for it. And some people, especially with crowdfunding, I mean, especially with startups, young guys especially, give me all the money you can.
Right.
As we say en français, take it easy. Reste tranquille. Everything is all about timing here. And I'll give you a good example. Last year, Queen's Press came and said, we're going to give you money to write a book. And I'm going, because we know you're writing one. I said, no thanks, because as soon as you do that, you're on somebody else's time schedule. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
So there's a time and place to do these things. I'll write a book when I'm friggin' ready to write it. The same goes for young startups. As soon as and I know it's attractive to get people throwing money at you, but if you're going to have money, you better have a very mature business plan before. And a lot of guys get the money before they have the plan because they've got to have something a little bit more than just proof of concept. You have to have a plan for its execution, and you have to have a plan for its acceleration. You have to have a plan for some of the obstacles that you're going to have, because no proof of concept is 100%. Right? So it's the timing of which you accept capital is as important as your actual capital needs itself. Mm-hmm. And be very careful of VCs who walk in with a wheelbarrow full of money.
Yeah. When I got the investment,
avoid them at all costs, in my opinion.
Sorry, Barb?
I said avoid them at all costs if you can, in my opinion.
The guy who's very eager to give you a wheelbarrow full of money.
I've been there and done that. I got the battle scars to prove it.
But when I was on the TV they invested in me. So I got investment. Mm-hmm. Two were fighting over me, and then one invested in me. But then afterwards, they backed out. But I just said nothing and kept going anyway. But I have to say I'm quite relieved in a way because, well, I wouldn't be sitting here. And also, I'm relieved that, you know, I didn't have to answer to this particular person as well in the future, you know. And yeah.
Go ahead, Sam. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but if you don't have money, I do have on my blog, I do have top tips on how to get your startup noticed with no money. So I did use social media, I did use Twitter, I did use videos, I did use any PR opportunity. I took it. I listened to radio shows that where my audience was listening. Like, you know, there's a morning chat show in Ireland. That particular chat show that I got on, I had no PR person or anything. I wrote to these shows and I said, is this topic still a taboo? Blah, blah, blah. You know, I wrote kind of my own press release really. And, but I had to use a hook to get them in. And so they were like, oh, this would be a great, interesting debate on the show and all that kind of stuff. And then the show that I was listening to, I'd listen to shows that I knew the mums were listening to, basically, that I knew that the mums were going to be listening to. So that's one way to keep an eye on things, what's going on, because you could get a chance to get on air if you use the right hook to get them interested. And another thing I did was, well, there's 10 tips there anyway on my blog. It's on the first one. But there's other things like what I did was the school gates. I mean, wherever mums hung out, I was there, you know. Right. Anytime lone fathers, I found out the statistics of how many lone fathers there was in Ireland. There was 21,000 lone fathers in Ireland. You know, I targeted men's groups on Twitter. There was a group, Only Dads, they're called, and he's a lovely guy, and he did a blog post about it, you know. So it's just a matter of building relationships, really, like I'm always saying, you know. And once you build those relationships, right, people get to know you, they will support you and spread the word for you anyway, and do your own marketing for you, you know.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right, Sam.
Was that that Only Dads thing, was that a hashtag that already existed?
It was a Twitter account, @OnlyDads, it's called, and it's for lone fathers. And they do a lot of campaigning for lone fathers that can't get access to their children and stuff like that. But it's also a blog, and it's a really nice community of dads. And he was really nice, really sweet guy. And I still talk to him and still in touch with him. And, you know, it's like all these people that helped me at the start, by the way, you know, there was a lot of kindness. It really helped me to see that there are leaders out there that really are kind with their time and that sat down and had a cup of tea with me and sometimes just listened. I mean, my mentor, I burst into tears, I don't know how many times in his office. And he just, you know, like these people, I never forgot them. And they're mentioned, like I did write the book, as I was saying, and I mentioned every single name that sat down with me and had a cup of coffee, you know, because that meant a world to me at the time. I was only a lone parent who had an idea and I hadn't a clue what I was doing. And now that I'm in a different space and I'd be a leader on social media, it's like I'm repaying them in different ways. Like for example, one of my mentors actually speaking at the summit, for example. I help him spread the word about Coder Dojo. He's the co-founder of Coder Dojo. And, you know, like there's other ways you can repay them for their kindness, but even just mentioning them in the book was nice. They really liked that, you know.
Yeah, people like reciprocity.
Yeah. Of course. And people want to feel like they matter to you just as much as you matter to them.
Well, I hope I do the same now for others coming up along, you know.
I mean, Sam, that's why I love you so much, because I had no picture and I was an egg when I came on Blab. And Sam said, "Hey, buddy, you better get a picture."
I did.
You knew Gerald when he was only an egg. Wow.
I did. I knew when he was only an egg.
Yeah.
That was just here on Blab.
Yeah.
And one cautionary tale, though, about when you're going to go on social media, or if you're going to go on any media, especially if you have a very unique concept or product that doesn't have a patent on it or doesn't have any intellectual rights stamped all over it. One thing that you have to be careful of, and it's not been my experience, but two other people that are in my business told me about this, where if you've started to do some crowdfunding or you're trying to get on media, you're trying to advertise what you're doing, and it's still in that sort of touchy-feely gummy bear environment that Gerald sometimes talks about, be careful. Competitors are also on social media.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay. And you said that you had a case where, some people were pirating some of your stuff. Well, I've not seen it with my stuff because I have a copyright, but there's other people out there doing a lot of really very unique sort of things. I did hear about one guy that came up with a really great fingerprint scanner that was 10 times better than anything anybody else had, and essentially he claims that Apple ripped it off for the iPhone 6.
Right.
And people said, where's your patent? And for the price of about $6,000 or $7,000 to get a patent, he said, no, I didn't want to spend it on that. I spent it on other things. And now, whether that is true, well, but Barb, sometimes, as you well know, I'm sure, when young startups, they start counting the pennies, and when they do get startup capital,
Right.
venture capitalists tell me this all the time. We give people money and
Very
they spend it
common
on the
for
wrong
that.
stuff.
The
Right.
challenge for most businesses is, though, that they can't get to the money. A lot of them don't. Again, they don't know. A lot of these young business owners that don't have the people around them, the mentors or a coach, or have been to like certain universities, at least just to even visit. They don't have those connections, so they are lost. They are at strictly, I have a great idea and it's worth $1 million. I have $10,000 in the bank and I'm getting ready to make $1 million, and that's what they really think.
And that's where crowdfunding comes in handy, because for those kind of guys who, frankly,
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little brutal here, who don't want to do the research about where to go find money. Okay, and it's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's brain surgery. For those people, sometimes crowdfunding is an easy. No, I don't want to say easy out, because that's probably not a good description of it. But it's something they can understand. It's an easy end. But once you're in, it can either be fantastic rewards, or it could be a path of destruction.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's why I wanted to have this discussion, so they can see that there is money. However, are you prepared for that money? And that's something we can't give them here. But a lot of people say, well, there's nobody that wants, there's no money out there. No, there are people with money. There are ways that you can get money for your business. There are ways that you can get funded.
Right.
Are you prepared is another question. Because even with crowdfunding, you have to have a certain image. You have to present it in a certain manner, because a lot of people just think they can throw their website up there and say, hey, I need $10,000. Help me. No, that's not going to work.
Well, the reverse problem here is true, and I'm pretty sure Barb will back me up on this. When you say that, there's a lot of young folk out there that don't know where to find the money. There's a lot of venture capitalists out there literally scanning the entire environment, trying to find those key venture capitalist things. And the environment's very, very big. I had breakfast this morning with a VC friend. You always take me out to breakfast, and I had bacon, by the way. And one of his challenges, I had lots of bacon, in fact. I had
Show me the bacon.
no, it was at the Chateau Laurier, so I had those nice crepes with maple butter. Oh, it was very good.
Oh,
You
stop!
have
I'm hungry.
asbestos in your system, Fred. The United Nations said it today. You have asbestos in your system, buddy.
Yeah, they can come get me. Bring friends. But he was saying almost the exact. He says, the environment is so big. My biggest problem is targeting. And this is a guy who's a very successful venture capitalist, and he's going through information overload. But and they have some very disciplined formula about why they do it. But they're looking for the same thing that everybody else is. Okay, they're looking for that Douglas MacArthurism. They're not trying to hit people where they are. They're trying to hit them where they ain't. That's what they're looking for in investment capital. They're trying to go for that undiscovered country. And so, he was talking to me about some of the tech guys out here in the West, and I'm going, okay, there's a lot of same here. There's a few bright sparks, but they're not ready for venture capital. And this guy's got a rucksack full of money. He's trying to throw money at people, and it's like, okay, but not his money. It's other people's money. He's trying. Venture capitalists very rarely use their own money, by the way.
Absolutely. So go ahead, Sam. You had a question, or what were you about to say?
There is a new thing as well that's happening here in Ireland, linked finance and grid finance. where you become, me and you, Fred and Barbara, we can actually become contributors, and they crowdfund in a way, but like we could like give a tenner or whatever, 10 euros or whatever, or we can give 500 euros. And so there's it's like a crowdfunding, but it's actually, they'd still have to go through the same criteria to make sure that it's a possible business, future business, but it's, there's no perks. That's it. There's no perks, but you can give money. You can also, it's like crowdfunding, except you do get the money back. You do give the money back. It's not perks.
If I don't know about Ireland and the U.S. I'm pretty sure the parallel organizations exist. But for any Canadians who are out there looking at this right now, one of your first stops, if you're looking for some business startup capital, is BDC, Business Development Bank of Canada. They actually have a big chunk of money. Their whole raison d'etre is to fund startups. And
well, here, I'll just put the link.
Can you put that in the chat? So
I'm putting the link in. It's actually, you can become a lender, or you can become hang on, I'll put it in. It's not, I'm nothing to do with these guys, by the way. I'm just showing you that there are these other concepts coming out here anyway. I'm sure they have them in the US. But it's not a bank. So I can become a lender, you can become a lender. What does it say? It says, where businesses looking for funding can meet real people looking to lend. There you go.
Okay, linked finance, got it. Okay.
All right.
But most governments, for instance, have no interest startup loans. They're not banks.
Right.
They're government institutions. And I know that they exist in the States. I have them written down here somewhere. But for Canada, it's Business Development Bank of Canada. And if your business is going to do any exporting, Export Development Canada will give you advice, money, startup capital, zero interest.
Right.
Okay, and I know some of these things exist in EU, and I know they exist in the States.
And absolutely, and even that's why usually, I mean, I wasn't trying to turn this into a small business. I always tell people to go to SBA, because SBA will lead you to a lot of those programs. You know, SBA will tell you about those programs, and they have folks like us come in and speak to people like that to help them find those types of places and those types of avenues to be able to find funds. The main challenge, not tonight, just out of the shower, and my husband has been waiting on me to cook dinner. Okay. Well, I'm glad you hung out with us. She hung out with us. I think you should go cook. I don't want to be in trouble. I don't
think there's probably a few steps between the shower and cooking that need to be completed as well there too, but you know.
Can I say something, Gerald? Just I'm actually speaking at a Start Your Own Business course tomorrow evening. Just they wanted me to tell my story, but you know, and I do that for free because the guy is my mentor that teaches it. So I always do that's my payback for him, let's say. But you know, the thing I was going to say about the funding options over here. Yes, if you're a startup, they give you this, that, and the other. They give you a grant for this, a grant for that. But they'll give you a grant for your website, but you have to match fund half of it first. So you don't actually get the money. You know what I mean? You still have to raise, if you want 20,000,
get the money.
You have to raise 10,000 first.
Yeah, I think there's different rules for different countries. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's almost like a Kiva Zip. Kiva Zip. Well, with Kiva Zip, the difference between a Kiva Zip and like a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo is Indiegogo or Kickstarter. Well, I'm not sure about Indiegogo, but I know Kickstarter will give you whatever you raise. If if you are on Kiva and you apply for a $10,000 loan, if you do not accumulate the 10,000, you get nothing.
Same with Kickstarter.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Indiegogo, I think you do.
Yeah. So that's the difference. You can.
But you mentioned SBAs too, and a lot of people don't take advantage of their own local institutions that they have. So everyone's got small business associations in their towns. You find a lot of them which are publicly funded. Here in Ottawa, we have something called Invest Ottawa, which if you're a startup and you're just looking for, how do I set up my business plan? How do I do this? How do I do that? They essentially have a whole bunch of profs there, mostly from some of the local either colleges or universities doing pro bono work to work for these kind of things. Go to your one one guy said, my whole business is going to be totally in Ottawa. And I said, that's great. Have you visited the Chamber of Commerce yet?
Yep.
Oh, no, do you think it's worthwhile? Yeah, it's probably a good idea. If anything, just to go to some of their networking events, and you'll get pretty much all the help that you need, especially if you have a really good idea. But sometimes it's the obvious things, and SBAs are a perfect example of that. SBAs are first of all, they're like-minded people. They've probably been in your shoes, and they're usually rather altruistic. They're dying to give you help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree.
And again, that's why I said they bring in SBA. I work with 3 different ones here in the Washington D.C. area, between D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, and they've
I'll be right out.
to come and do several different things. Hey, just come talk to them about marketing. You started. You were here. Blah blah blah. And I'll come and I'll talk to the people. So they bring in people that have already reached a certain level of success to talk to these people that are just starting out. So that's the great thing. And the people that work with SBA are former business owners or retired from some high level position themselves anyway. A lot of SBAs have business coaches and mentors that are actually running their programs now. Mm-hmm. So it is an underutilized resource that people forget about.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm going to have to step out.
Okay,
my dinner's ready.
Oh, lucky you.
And I really appreciate the time. And this is a really important topic, and it's definitely one that lights my fire. And if there's any way I can contribute, help with it, I think, maybe we could get a Google Doc together and get an actual agenda of the types of funding that we would recommend. Fred, I'm just totally blessed to have connected with you.
Same here, Barb.
And Sam, girl, you got a special spot in my heart.
Really?
From the very first time I met you, you remind me so much of me. I do have a single son. We might fix you up before it's all over.
I don't think my boyfriend would like that, though. He might be a bit annoyed.
No.
I might be over there. I might be over there in February speaking at an event, Robert Stern's event. I might be doing a Twitter workshop or something. So I'll keep you posted.
All right.
Keep you posted.
Okay. Well, maybe we can fly you up to the resort or something. So
it'd be lovely.
We'll see what happens.
Cool.
But I think we should, I would like to suggest anyway that we do something regularly.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys know who Tim Berry is. You might Google Tim, but he's a personal friend of mine. He is a VC here in Oregon, but he also developed the first business plan software. And I think he's got a contract with American Express and Rhonda Abrams. They're both friends of mine. And I've been in Rhonda's books a couple times. And I've been in Entrepreneur Magazine also.
Wow.
Okay.
So, but probably, this is back in the 90s, Sam. So this is way back.
Back when true entrepreneurism was done, right, Barb?
Right.
So we've got superstars here. Dragon's Den, Entrepreneur. What else?
But I have notes and business cards from John Scully here. I can pull that up, and I can even bring up a picture of this guy that was with Apple, that when he pulled up in front of my house in a motorhome.
Oh.
So, this is back in the pioneering days, and money was wild. But the VCs were much, in my opinion, they were much bigger sharks than they are today. Today, they're just kind of fumbling around with money in their hands, and they don't really know how to play the game. Which is good. If you're an old broad like me, it's like, okay.
Barb,
I was meant to stay here.
This is the first time you've actually been to Great O'Clock, I think. I think this is the first time I see you around other blabs. This is the first time I think you've come on here, on this one. So this is cool.
Well, I only came here just because you were here.
Oh, see, stop.
A lot of women say that. Don't worry.
Oh man,
don't get Breaking Blab. I figured you all were angry with me and not going to speak to me anymore after I broke Blab.
Oh, absolutely not. You know, I love you some Barb. I'm going to talk to you, Barb. Absolutely. So,
well, I'm going to take off and have dinner, folks. So you all have a great one.
Right.
Good night,
Bye.
Barbara. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
But that is a good idea that Barb has, and probably something that could be a repetitive subject here on Blab.
Yeah.
for
I
8
mean,
o'clock.
maybe we do this once a month. And actually, I'll bring some of my VC friends. You bring some of yours. Barb actually obviously has some connections, and we can
None.
kind of create that type of environment where people could come and.
Now, you and
If
I
you
have
have an
talked about
idea-
this before, though. I mean, I want to see Blab become a little more mature, a little more tuned
Yeah.
before I start bringing some heavy hitters in. I mean, I've got some that were, very nice that were, came in. Like Mark's going to come on again tomorrow, talk about business wargaming with me. He's a heavy-duty VC guy out in Palo Alto.
Right.
So I mean, he's Mr. VC for the tech sector down there. But that's mostly because he's also experimenting with Blab.
Right.
Now, would we
Yeah.
would I bring in my clients on Blab yet? Hell no.
No.
Hell no. I don't even want them to be able to spell it, because it's just, I mean, I'm pretty sure Sam will back me up on this. There's nothing worse than, I mean, this medium needs teasing, and nothing worse than having an undisciplined CEO on here communicating on a public forum that is being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, that's just. Well, it's that way with a lot of social media. So you have to be prepared for certain mediums, and some people aren't ready for the rapid fire that is Blab. I mean, this is rapid fire. I mean,
Yeah.
you cannot prepare. You can put all the notes you want in front of you. You don't know what's going to happen in this chat box. You don't know what's going to happen when that person comes to sit in that seat who has a very strongly different opinion than you, and you have to be able to handle yourself accordingly.
It's like Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of cases where I've had to tell certain leadership clients saying, you're not ready for a Twitter account yet. Your company is, but you personally are not ready for a Twitter account yet.
Can I just, there's a comment in the section there from a lady, I don't know your name, sorry, but she was asking me about the startup scene in Dublin is actually huge at the moment. There's at Startups Ireland, there's at Startup Ireland. I started Irish Startup Chat, a hashtag, but it's just sitting there at the moment. I don't know, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, you could actually have a show every week, maybe Startup Chat or Startup Talk or something. I'm just saying, you could like put startup in there somewhere to kind of, if you put the hashtag startup in the title, then you'll get all those people searching the hashtag on Twitter, hashtag startup or startups. I'm just saying, suggesting it, like, but really there's a huge startup scene. There was a startup gathering, like they're really promoting the startups in Ireland at the moment. And as you know, I started the hashtag Irish Biz Party, which was for SMEs, but I stepped down from that because, to be honest, folks, I need to start making money and I need to kind of concentrate on my own brand. I've been so busy making money for everybody else. I haven't been concentrating on pushing myself. So I'm trying to promote Tweeting Goddess and what I do. And that's why I thought the social media summit, if I brought it over to Dublin, if I did it in Dublin, then I thought, well, this would be a great way to show, Tweeting Goddess, who else, one of the top tweeters in Ireland, who else is going to bring a social media summit to Ireland? So this
Absolutely.
is why I'm so passionate about, because the companies are not engaging, they're not engaging with their customers at all. They just have a Twitter account sitting there and they're not, they're not engaging. They're not engaging with their customers. So,
well, they're engaging, but not necessarily with their customers. They're communicating, but not necessarily what people want to be communicated about. Or they're as a CEO not using it as a communication medium for their own rookie mistakes.
Sorry, my partner's just come in. I better go.
Okay, thanks for hanging out.
Sorry,
For the Canadian audiences out there,
We had a question real quick, Fred.
Okay, sure.
Somebody had asked way back here. Lee came in a while ago. She's from Australia. She was asking, how do we get money for our business? We can just do a quick recap for her. Then we're going to close the recording, and then we will just have the after blab. So, Lee, you said you're in Australia. We were just talking about different funding sources, and actually doing like pre-launches of products and or services as a way to be able to get your product out there. Oh, it's no problem, Sam. Thank you for hanging out. One thing I would suggest is if you don't have a lot of capital right away, is to create a pre-launch for your product. Create a pre-launch or beta. I don't know what kind of business you do. If you would like to join us in the seat, maybe we can help you through this process really quickly, and then we can go through this even faster. But create a pre-launch for your product. I don't know what you're doing. What kind of product or service is it? I just
BizBuddy
Hub.
BizBuddy Hub.
A local co-working community for growing small business.
All right.
Okay. Are you able to jump in the seat real quick, Lee, and we can go through this really quickly? But what I would suggest, well, I mean, obviously you have a website and stuff, but have you launched the product? Are you up and running now? Are you getting up and running? What stage are you at? What level are you at right at this point? So that we can answer the questions properly. You have launched. How long have you been around? All right, we have another call in as well, Juliana. Are you there, Juliana?
Yeah, I just joined. I'm just figuring this out.
It's okay.
I believe Leigh is
The
also
title
trying
caught
to.
my
is
eye
also
because I was
trying to
like, oh yeah, making money. Okay.
Okay, cool. Well, while Lee's coming in, what do you do, Juliana? First time me meeting you. Very nice. Welcome to Great O'Clock. Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I actually run a boot camp for people that are trying to learn how to sell.
Trying to learn how to what? I didn't hear the last part.
How to sell.
Oh, okay. So you do sales. Yeah. Awesome. Sales is one of my things.
It is. That's awesome.
Absolutely. I'm a business owner. It better be one of my things.
Right, but you'd be surprised how many business owners out there don't want it to be one of their things.
Yeah, and those are the people that some of the most talent.
Yeah. Those are the people that need some help.
Yeah, those people. We're getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
We'll have to refresh things like a ton of feedback.
Well, I see wine bottles, so that's a start. That's a good start.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Juliana's. Okay. Yeah, we can hear you, Leah. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm currently in our co-working environment as we speak. We actually work from different premises around our local area, and today we're working out of Hopheads, beer tasting environment. So we've got over here craft beers, always good, and tasting room. And we're actually working as a cohort, so we're there's IT specialists, there's people who are running their business from home but want to get out of their home, and we've also got business meetings going on.
Okay.
So we've been in operation now for since June. So we've done our pre-launch. We've promoted our business locally on Facebook, LinkedIn, all the social media areas. So that's all been taken care of. We've set up our business online. So we've got the website, which I've put up over there. And basically what we're trying to do is try to build our business, but we doing it from the ground roots up. So instead of having investors investing from the top end, we've actually done it as a community. So we've got together as a community and offered this service for free so far, so people can come and go as they please. But we now want to start getting some investors in to help us with the long-term goal of having our own premise, because we're currently using other people's premise to promote our business. So that's where we're at with our business.
Okay, Fred, it's very, very loudly.
I've got bits and pieces of it. There's
there's
a lot of background noise. I've just been at their BizBuddy Hub website. So if I understand this correctly, Leah, your business is you're providing expertise, individual subject matter experts as a community of practice that your client base can take advantage of. Is that correct? Is that a reasonable summation?
Yeah, so basically it's all different businesses from the local community coming together and working and collaborating with one another in a co-working environment. So basically it's getting everybody who's within the local postcode to come and familiarise themselves with our business and, you know, share ideas and share business ideas together. So it's more of a community-based business, but we need to have the investors there so that we can get the premise that we want. So at the moment we're using other people's premises to run our hub.
Okay, Leah, I have two things for you. One, please do me a favor, and while we're talking, just mute, because it's a lot of background noise. Just mute yourself on the screen. Just mute yourself so that everybody can hear.
I've kind of lost audio here, Rob. I think as Anavo just said, is it like a small business incubator?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and I've just been very quickly trolling through the website. So, and certainly the idea of local small business incubators is not unique. I mean, a lot of people are doing them, and a lot of people are making them into good business propositions. How large is the community or the postal code that you're serving in terms of general population?
Because if she's trying to get money, she said that they are just trying to get basically their own premises now to be able to conduct this.
Okay, so over 300,000. So that is good. And so, are there parallel competitors, for instance, like local some local chambers of commerce also try to become small business incubators and stuff like that, or create site-specific communities of practice? Do you have that sort of thing going on? So you're the first in your local area. Well, okay, so you've already met my first metric. Don't hit them where they are, hit them where they ain't. If there isn't somebody providing that service, I would be all over this like, how do you Americans say, like Oprah on a glazed ham?
No, that's a Fred thing. We say white on rice.
Fair enough. Like a Canadian on bacon, like a Canadian on donuts, like a Canadian or like a Canadian or an Australian on beer. So yeah, I mean, first of all, I happen to know for a fact that the Australian government does have SBLs, no interest SBLs for startups, small business loans. So have you approached anybody in either your state or your federal government SBL? No interest SC. Okay, so yes. And did they give you your startup capital to get a site? No. Okay. my first question is, why not? Did they not get off on your value statement for your business? We are still rallying. Normally when governments, first of all, governments should trip over themselves to give away money to startups. So my first question is, it's a problem with council.
What's the problem with
I'm
council?
sorry, like a local council, is this a regulatory issue that you're having to fight?
Hello,
We
everybody.
have Lisa Anderson joining
Hello,
us.
Lisa.
Good
Well,
evening.
hello there, Miss Lisa.
How are you?
I am Mac Fantabulous. Thank you for joining us here on Great O'Clock.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
We're going to go off the record here in about 15 minutes. We're going to go through this thing with Lee, and then we're going to talk with you. And if you all want, you can hang out for the after party, but we're about to end this recording in about.
I think Leia's picture's freezing up here on me. I don't know what it looks like to you, Rev.
It's slowly moving, so she may have to refresh. Okay, Miss Lisa, welcome. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing. She's doing like an incubator. She said like Regis. Okay, tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so I am a small business mentor and growth coach. I work with small businesses primarily in the Washington D.C. area.
Wait, time out. You know you right by me, right? Now
I know. I've been watching you, and Mr. John Haynes, who I see is on the show, has been telling me all about you. So yeah, we have to meet.
Oh, absolutely, cool. But
I don't normally look like this, so you can turn the recording off for real. But
please, you're not looking bad, believe me.
I find this all very amusing. you know I do.
Oh, Fred,
right?
Cut it out, man. Cut it out. But go ahead, Lisa. Tell us about you.
So I have primarily worked with federal government contractors, but I also work with nonprofits and consultants, accountants, and human resources companies. And we have considered over the last year or so the concept of converting our office space into a co-working location as a means of establishing a small business incubator. Not sure that I'm going to continue along those paths. I have a different idea at this point, but I wanted to jump on because Leah, the questions that she had in terms of funding. I don't know in Australia. I'm not sure. I have no idea, but I do know here in the United States that, like you said, SBA has a lot of programs. Local Chamber of Commerce's, what they do is they may not have the money to provide funding, but a lot of the membership with the banks that are part of the Chamber of Commerce, or even the Chamber of Commerce itself, will promote activity to help generate businesses and to lead smaller companies into the co-working location, because the Chamber of Commerce cannot house all of those businesses in a locality. So I don't know if that's something that can work for Lee that was just on the call or not. I have no idea. I don't know how it works there, but that's how it has worked here successfully.
Yeah, and that's what we were kind of gearing at. We were just trying to see where she was.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about Australia. I understand about how to find general money and things of that nature, and that's why I know a few VCs. So there are certain questions that typical questions that we need answered in order to be able to kind of guide her where she wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I don't know if Leia's still listening in. Saw somebody with a similar problem a few years back.
This building has been left abandoned over a year and is multi-purpose. So
right. Okay. So if it's owned by a university, first of all, universities are like governments.
Yeah.
Okay. Making administrative decisions is not their strong point. What I would do is look for some premises within your local, that's why I asked the question, why near a university? Try, maybe closer to a centralized business sector in town, especially if you got a lot of Starbucks, and I don't know if you have Tim Hortons down there, but those kind of places, okay? Some place which are central, a central business type square. Find out if any of the places that have closed signs on them are in receivership from banks.
REOs.
Because banks in Canada and in the US will get a tax write-off.
See, but she's in Australia.
Yeah, but I don't know what goes on in Australia, so I'm going to give you an American or Canadian one here. But I'm sure banks pretty much run the same way. God help me. But normally, like in certainly in North America, and I know in some European countries as well, if a bank has foreclosed on a commercial property and can give it rent-free for a certain period. In other words, they're paying the rent for you, but they get it sliced off their income tax. Okay, and I know that I certainly know that happened. I don't know if it's a federal thing in the States, but certainly I know that Vermont, Maine, New York, all have similar sort of systems where you get it trimmed off, line 240 in your income tax right off the bat. Okay, and it's a what's called a charitable donation for business startups. You don't even need to be an NPA for it. So yeah, and that's part of their investment into your business.
Cool. So Leah, what I would suggest is like what Fred just said, and then maybe consider crowdfunding. If you have enough friends and you have enough family or ex-co-workers, current co-workers, the people that are sharing the space with you now, if you all utilize your collective power, you could do like a Kiva Zip or an Indiegogo or a GoFundMe. I would more recommend, if you're doing that, more of a Kiva Zip type of thing, because that is 0% interest. It gets you like 24 months, and they will match if you have someone that endorses you. And I happen to be an endorser for Kiva Zip. They will match any donation up to $200. So during the first 20 days of your campaign. So if you have 30, 40 people that are there and everybody donates $200, that automatically is $6,000. And then they're going to match that $6,000 with their own bank. So now you have $12,000 and your campaign is funded. So
yep. Yeah, absolutely. Other places that are looking at this, localized community of practice type locales. In other words, I create a nice coffee shop or a craft beer joint or whatever, and I'm going to open it up to small businesses, and I'm going to have some, key subject matter experts there. There's 3 towns that pop into my head right now that do that very, very well, and there's really good models to look at. Vancouver, Seattle, and San Diego. It seems to be a West Coast thing, the left coast. We call it British California, not British Columbia. But it seems to have a lot of those places in downtown Vancouver, especially. And while I don't know much about how they did their business, if you're trying to research some, like-minded models, I think those are some good places to start.
Okay, great. So I hope that helped. Lee, and she's about to jump back in. We're going to end this recording. Lee, I'm going to let you in, but let us just wrap up the recording so we can go off the record. I thank each and every person that showed up in here. You all have made this Great O'Clock phenomenal, and we are going to keep the conversation going. For anybody watching the replay or may see this on YouTube, you have to come over to blab.im for the after party. So if you're not here, you can't be there. So I want to thank you all, Lisa and Lee, and always Fred Oban, my great friend. And we will be back here again on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, which we call Great O'Clock, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will see you all on Wednesday. Thank you.
Reverend, duty calls.
Okay.
I have to, actually, I've got to go be a good husband, but at the same time, I actually have some business correspondence I have to get to, because especially for clients in Asia. So if you have to excuse me, as usual, it's been great to come on. It's always good to talk to you, old friend.
All right. Always great talking with you, Fred.
Take care.
And I'm going to jump off also.
Okay. All right. Well, Lisa, now you're jumping off too fast. I didn't even get to talk to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, but it's cool.
But I'll join in on Wednesday. I promise.
Yeah, let's do that. Join in Wednesday. Come back Wednesday.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Now, Dwayne, if you want to hop in, we can talk real quick because you said you had a question about something you're doing. Mr.
Hey,
Dwayne
Gerald.
Whitfield, how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. What about yourself?
Man, I'm Mac Fantabulous, man. If I got any better, they might lock me up. So I don't want to do that. So,
Yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, I just finished up a website for a startup I got here in the DC, and actually in Baltimore. We service DC as well. So
I'm out of DC, brother. I'm a DC guy, born and raised, man.
Really? Are you in the area?
Yeah, man. I'm actually I'm in Fairfax right now. So I'm DC born and raised though, Northeast DC.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I actually I'm right now. I'm going to Hopkins in Baltimore, but I got a house in Northern Virginia, like at Quantico area.
Oh yeah, not far.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you're pretty familiar with what's going on out here in this area, but basically what my startup is called Urbana Sourcing. And what we're doing is we're training like young adults here in Baltimore on like front end development skills, back end development skills, design and entrepreneurship. And basically these people are going to act as startup concierge for people that's launching a business, help them with their websites, design, and things of that nature. So, because as you know up here, like a lot of the developers are already like taken by the government. So it's a lot of startups that got money that need people to help build their business. So that's what we're doing with the urban youth.
Oh, that is phenomenal. That's a phenomenal concept, brother. How long have you been doing it?
Oh, we just started it, man. We just did like the first like a beta class, probably like a month ago. So we're about to expand into a larger class now. So that's what we're doing. So, and the way it works is like we found in this area, a lot of people that's making over 6 figures that hate their job. They hate their jobs. So what we're doing is we're helping them build their product while they work. So they have a team of people that set up the work for them while they're working. You know what I'm saying? And I got to Google. So like I kind of started it myself. I'm not the best. I'm kind of just getting into the development thing, but I got a Google developer right now that's teaching my tech skills. I got designer teaching design skills. So it's getting us